Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. Are you trying to master the game of life without success? There are secrets and strategies to living your best life. We'll share some of them with you on today's show. Take advantage of this series to become an expert at relationships. All relationships. It's time to live the life that you deserve to live. Now, here's your host, Sandra Reish.
Welcome to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, a show that teaches you how to live your very best life. I hope everybody's having a beautiful summer and enjoying the good weather. We're already in August. My God, the time goes fast. You know, every week, every month, I think to myself about the original meaning of this show and what was my hope of what to get across. And as I said just now, it's about living your best life. So it seemed long overdue to do a show on addiction. Now, some of you listening right now may be saying to yourself, oops, this is not the right show for me. I'm not addicted. So I'm going to speak to you guys first. I've gone to and listened to researchers talk about this, and it's something I feel very strongly about, which is, in fact, we're all addicts. So it's possible that some of you might be going, what? That's not true. Okay. What I mean by that is that there are addictions that are the obvious ones, like alcohol and crack cocaine and gambling, and people know that they're in trouble. But there's Facebook addiction, there's technology addiction, there's watching too much sports addiction, there might be reality TV, and I might have some guilt there, addiction. There's a lot of ways we get addicted, and addiction is one of the things that's interesting about it is addiction is a way of numbing pain. So the reason we do this is because life has pain in it. There's no one who escapes pain. So therefore, it's very easy to slip into it. So to do a show like this, I wanted to bring on an expert. And of course, I turned to my dream team. I have somebody on my team who's not only a top psychotherapist and a dear friend, but she is actually a trained specialist in addiction. So to start the conversation and to get really into it, I wanted to ask her to come on Straight Talk. She graciously said yes. So Melissa Hindley, certified counselor, is here today to talk with us about addiction. So welcome back to Straight Talk, Melissa.
Thank you. I'm really happy.
What do you think of this, statement? It's a provocative statement that we're all addicts. Like, how does that sit with you, and what do you think about that?
I totally agree, and I like how you speak to that, because we often see the ones, like you said, the alcohol or the drug addiction, that's a little bit more obvious. And we tend to not remind ourselves about the more subtle ones. So like relationships or video games, and I often see that a lot in my
love addicts. Yeah, That's a big one that you brought up there too. We're definitely going to have to cover that too. Yes. Thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, very important.
Yeah, even while you were talking, I also thought we'll talk about people who get addicted to their
anxiety.
Symptoms. Yes. Anxiety. Yes, and we do see that, don't we? Mm-hmm. Where on earth do we start? There's so much to say about this.
Well, I think first, maybe we can start by, just defining what addiction is. And
Please.
I think you touched upon it. So in your opinions, how do you define to your clients or when you see this addiction?
Well, like you said, I mentioned numbing pain. I mean, all these addictions fulfill the fact that you don't have to feel things. The problem is that whatever the substance is, let's say your addiction is to accomplishment. Mm-hmm. You like to accomplish things. Type A personalities. I'm a type A person. I like to accomplish things. But the problem where it becomes an addiction is you need more and more of the drug. So if your drug is accomplishment, you're only as good as your last accomplishment. If your drug is work, you need to work more and more and more. If your drug is anxiety symptoms, more and more. If it's alcohol, more and more. If it's Xanax, more and more. So numbing pain and needing more and more of the substance, whatever the substance may be, is an addiction. Mm-hmm. And for yourself?
Yeah, I agree. And I think that I often see in a lot of the clients that there's this huge preoccupation with planning around the addiction.
Oh, that's such a good point.
It's not only the actual act of doing the behavior that you're using to numb, but it's also the preparation with it. So like when you're at home and you're thinking about, like, let's say, for example, alcohol, like you can't wait for the weekend or you can't wait for the next day. And so you start to just plan using. And this can happen too in relationships. You're obsessing about the relationship, and it takes a lot of thoughts surrounded about that.
That's a really good point. And I think that whole thing about planning comes from even in alcoholism, that alcoholics, a lot of the drinking, and I'm no alcoholic and I actually really don't drink, but when I do want to drink, and this is true for alcoholics, is getting the right glass and the right ambience. And alcoholics talk about this a lot in sessions, that giving up alcohol is not just giving up the drink, it's giving up the planning that you're talking about, is like getting together with someone and having a drink. Or coffee could be that way too, as and smoking, people talk about let's have a coffee and a cigarette. And the same thing, it's all part of it. So I'm really glad you mentioned that, because it is a ritual when you think about it. Really important point.
And that's like what we'll talk about too with the treatment. It's not only about removing the substances or whatever it is, the behavior that we've become addicted to, but it's also trying to change the whole ritual and the whole routine of it all.
Okay, so I think we're clear on addiction per se. So I guess, here I am saying that I don't drink alcohol, but I like a nice wine glass when I do have wine. So how would I know if I'm an addict or not? And I'm gonna answer partly and have you jump in. Is like, I don't drink alcohol, so I get headaches. I kind of think I probably could have gone addicted, because I like the idea. I like it, and I worked in a bar, so I was in the right place.
It's true. But
I get these horrible headaches, so it probably saved me. But let's say I was starting to come home from a hard day of work. I see clients, and it's it can be a tough job. And I started thinking during the day, when I get home, I'll just have my wine, or I'll smoke. I hear a lot of these days. I'll just smoke a joint. Yeah. And people say smoking weed is not addictive. I don't agree, but. Okay, how would I know, Melissa, if I'm an addict or if I'm just, people drink wine, people smoke joints. We're not prudes.
Yeah, and the way I talk to my clients about this is that it's not the amount or how much you do it necessarily, but it's the reasons why are you doing it. Okay. So we talked about to numb out, to cope with difficult emotions, but it's also trying to understand what's the reasons why you need. And that's a very important part, is why you need that glass of wine, or why you need that joint.
Need versus want.
Yes. So it's more that, and also really trying, like a lot of times we bargain with ourselves. We say, okay, I'll just drink on the weekends, or I'll just see this person on the weekends, or I'll just gamble on the weekends. And so we try to start to bargain with ourselves. And one of the definitions too is that addiction is considered when we're really trying to cut back and we can't, despite our best efforts.
So if somebody is smoking a joint every night when they get home, and I would say to them as a therapist, like, how about tonight journaling instead of smoking a joint about how you're feeling? And they're like, absolutely not. I cannot do that. That would be a bad sign.
Yeah, or they might really want to, and their intentions are there, but when it comes time to it, they're really trying, but it's hard to not do it because, again, of the ritual and the routine, and so it's trying to cut back despite our efforts.
Okay, so people might have questions, Melissa, so I'm just going to give out the phone number. It's 1-866-472-5792. Again, 1-866-472-5792. Join the conversation. And for shy people who don't want to do that, if you'd like to text us, that's not a problem either, 514-796-4357. We're talking addiction. We're talking how you know if you're addicted, and how now what we're going to talk about now is how it plays into mental health issues like anxiety or depression. And if you want to join the conversation, please text us. We love that, or call us. No problem. So, Melissa, we mentioned before, it's the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression. So the majority of our cases are about relationships, anxiety, or depression. I've always found it interesting that depressed people like to smoke weed and drink alcohol, which is really funny.
Yes, because
it's a depressant. Right. So it's not going to make you feel happier. It's going to depress you. So, how do you see addiction playing into mental health issues? Which comes first, the chicken or the egg, by the way?
Well, it's a hard question, but I think from what I see in my experience, and you can talk about too from what you've seen, but there's definitely a mental health issue underneath the addiction. Like, someone doesn't just wake up and choose, this is what I want my life to be like. It's a choice later on, but I think that definitely there's something driving it, the addiction first. So that's one of the things we have to to get to is really the root. And so it's anxiety or depression, or trauma. A lot of times we see trauma in people who have addiction issues.
So I find that interesting. So when you have a patient in your office that's addicted, you don't go to the treatment of the addiction right away. You go to what's the root issue.
The root?
Oh, okay. So how do you do that, Miss Melissa?
Well, the thing, having them identify first, because there could be some denial that's going in. So we have to address that.
What does denial sound like?
Denial sounds like, it doesn't hurt anyone. I don't, I just have one. It's not creating a problem in my life. And we try to justify why our behavior is okay. So first we have to kind of identify that there is an addiction, but also trying to get to the root. So looking for any symptoms, like the thing is hard because a lot of drugs or alcohol can mimic depression. So it's really hard to kind of tease out if it's depression that's causing it, or like you said, marijuana and alcohol is a depressant. So is it from the substances? Okay. So it's hard to tease out the two, but I think with the skills and to cope with anxiety, giving tools, CBT tools to help reduce that first.
CBT being cognitive behavioral therapy. Mm-hmm. Okay, so you have to, a certain amount of honesty is needed, right? So if I work a lot, and if I come to your office and I say, I don't think I'm an addict. I just work a lot. I'm a hardworking girl. Mm-hmm. I have to be able to admit that I'm working to not feel something else.
Yeah.
So that requires the therapist or the counselor to be really on the money for sure, so to speak. But also for the patient, the client, to be willing to admit, like, what I would ask someone who works a lot is, what are you running away from? Yeah. Like, why are you so busy? I ask a lot of my patients, why are you so busy? What is the busyness? What function does it serve? Mm-hmm. Do you talk about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you avoiding? Yeah.
Okay.
And I really love, something I really got from you was to be honest. We have to be honest with ourselves.
That's important.
It's very hard to do, but it's being honest with ourselves and trying to figure out what's driving this.
Okay, so we're going to take a short break. We'll come right back and we'll talk about why it's so hard to tell ourselves the truth about ourselves, which is a global concept that affects everything. And if you can tell yourself the truth, you can have the stars in life. So we'll be right back with the fabulous Melissa Hindley on Straight Talk with Sandra Reish.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reish, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reish. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
A fresh look at today's health. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
Okay, we are having a very important and perhaps overdue talk about addiction because it affects so many of us, and it's very prevalent. And I'm going to say that the reason I think it's prevalent is life. As the older person in the room, your hostess Sandra here. Life has challenges. There are lots of things that can go wrong. And so how we cope with these challenges is absolutely paramount. Now, before I get into that, I think that this is a great time to say a thank you to our sponsor, because our sponsor is Spa Minari here in Montreal. And the reason I think it's relevant is, first of all, I'm going to give you their website, which is spaminari.com, and the phone number is 514-695-5040. I mention that because going to a spa, actually, and taking some time for yourself is one of the ways to negotiate your feelings so that you don't slip into addiction. So I think it's a good time to mention them. And also know that if you call them at 695-5040, area code 514, and you mention Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, you get 15% off any treatment. That's massages, that's facials, that's beauty stuff. I think we should take some time and do that. Like, we're always working, or else we're addicts too. Yeah. So before we get back into it, I left off with the idea of telling yourself the truth. So even right now, maybe we can start with ourselves. Can we tell the truth about, it's not easy, but I think if we're going to ask other people to do it, we have to do it. So I've already alluded to the fact that if you told me tonight that I can't watch TV before I go to bed, I wouldn't be very happy with you. So do I consider myself ready for rehab? No, I don't. But I admit that I sometimes use TV as a way to numb out, and sometimes that's not so healthy. Sometimes, journaling would be a better choice, or going to Spa Minari with you would be a better choice. Yeah. And sometimes, when hardship shows up in my life, sometimes watching some really silly TV works for me. And there are addictive properties to that. So I'm going on radio and admitting something that there's a little bit of an addiction there. And it's not easy to say that. So would you be able to, because as I believe that everyone's an addict, what would you say? Because, it could be taking care of your pets. It could be so many things. There's so many things of it. What do you think you're addicted anywhere?
I do.
Accomplishments?
I do. I think definitely I agree with the TV. Like, I have to sleep with the TV on every night.
Oh, really?
Every night. Have to sleep with it.
So it fills a function. It fulfills a function.
It does.
Does it numb you?
It avoids me thinking.
Okay, and you're a big thinker like me.
I'm a big thinker.
So am I.
It avoids that. Yeah. And I think I'm also addicted to caretaking.
Oh, that's a big, honest one. Yes. Can you say what that even means? So
caretaking, for me, it's to avoid my issues. I focus on other people. So I help other people. I put other people's needs before my own. Now I'm a lot better, and I've done my own work to put myself first, and to know the difference between caring and caretaking. So, but yeah, that's my addiction that I had to.
That's a really important one. We weren't planning to talk about this today, but I'm going to take a pause on that because caretaking, that's another one that I've had that challenge also, is highly addictive because it's actually not putting someone's needs ahead of yours, because the need is to caretake. Yeah. Okay. And why do people need to caretake? Because then they feel better about themselves, and that's the drug hit. I'm such a good person. Look how I took care of someone. That's the drug. And women fall into it like flies. Because if I don't feel good about, so Melody Beattie wrote a great book called Codependent No More, and it was about alcoholism and drug addiction. But she also said, and this is the line that got me years ago, is she's driving home from work and she'd think, I'll take a drink, I'll take a drug, or I'll go fix someone. Yeah. fixing people is addictive. That means therapists might have this problem if they do it outside of work.
It's true. And I think that's why it's really important to talk about with the concept of addiction, because it's one of the biggest addiction that goes under the radar.
Wow, I'm glad you brought that up. Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, so caretaking addiction. So again, another way of not looking at yourself. That's what all addictions do. They take you away from you, your pain. Because if, let's say, caretaking, if you secretly don't feel as good about yourself as you'd like, as long as you're caretaking, you don't have to look at that pain.
I don't have to look. I can focus on someone else's problem.
So how would we get us to look at our pain? How would we do it?
Well, the first step is always being honest. So acknowledging that, but also.
So we found out we're both addicts.
Yes, but we also, I find what's helpful too is to acknowledge how addiction changes the brain. Okay. Because once I had that piece of awareness too, it helped me to then focus on that. Because then I didn't feel weak every time if I could fall into the caretaking role.
Do you want to say a bit about that?
Yeah, so with any addiction, we have neurotransmitters in our brain, we have dopamine. And the thing is that when we have, let's say, for example, I'm going to use cocaine. So when people use drugs or substances or whatever it is that feels good. So dopamine's like our feel good, pleasurable response in our brain, right? This
crack cocaine of the brain, I call it.
This is what helps us feel good. This is when we do things, it feels good. So the thing is, our brain naturally produces this. And the thing is that when we use drugs, and let's say cocaine, for example, it gives us an overstimulation of that dopamine. So what happens, that overstimulation is going to cause us to feel that high. Now, when it's overstimulated, the brain, what it does, it's saying, whoa, there's too much going on. And what it does is that it slows down the production of dopamine. Oh. So when you're not using, what's going to happen?
You feel lousy.
You feel lousy. You feel like there's less dopamine going on. So what's going to happen? What's the best way to get that dopamine rush again?
Go watch that TV show again.
Go
caretake someone. Go take the cocaine.
Exactly. And so then that's when we become dependent on it. And then we need that to feel better.
Wow.
So it changes the whole brain. But what's reinforcing about this is that once we stop the addictive nature, even though it changes the brain, there's a lot of research that shows with neuroplasticity, the brain can regain itself again. The brain can rebalance itself when you stop using your drug or behavior of choice.
That is really well stated and so important, Melissa. And, one thing I want to add to that is something I read years ago that completely freaked me out. That, however, although the brain can reorganize itself, an addict is always an addict. And what that means, and that's where you have to be careful, because let's say you do smoke weed and you're like, listen to the show and you're like, that's it, today's the day. The problem is that someone who's an addict's brain is different than someone who's not an addict. So that means that 10 years down the line, if I take a joint and I've never been addicted, I get high and nothing really happens. However, if you've been addicted, the brain never forgets.
No.
I don't know if you know this. I think you do. Yes. And it lights up like a slot machine and goes, hey, baby, we're home.
Yeah.
And it starts all over again, which is why when people quit smoking and they say, I'm going to just take one cigarette, that's a disaster. You can't do it. The brain, whereas other people who never smoke, they can take a cigarette. Okay? So the addict's brain has a memory of that pleasure center. And we're very addicted to pleasure.
We are. And that's the whole reward circuit that's going on in our brain. So that's what I encourage too, is that you can't just remove the behavior or the drug or the alcohol. You can't just remove it.
Okay.
You have to replace it with something else that's healthy.
Okay.
So what could be some examples of the thing that we can replace it with that's healthier?
If we're talking about cocaine or if we're talking about caretaking? I'm going to do caretaking.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I think that step one is to find out what's driving the car, which is the pain.
Yeah.
So it's always pain. So if I have pain, what I can replace it with is something that soothes my pain, that doesn't numb my pain. So for me, it might be journaling, it might be meditating, it might be going for a walk outdoors, it may be talking to a friend about some struggle that I'm going through right now, instead of doing that Could be those. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And using tools to reduce, because like I said, once a lot of people numb to avoid the pain, and so once our behaviors are not there, the pain is going to intensify because we're not numbing it anymore. So it's normal to feel kind of worse at the beginning before you feel better, because we're not stuffing it under the rug anymore.
How are people supposed to deal with that, though? Now they have two pains.
Yeah, now there's two pains. The loss of not coping with their unhealthy behaviors, but also the actual physical pain and emotional pain.
Well said.
So definitely the things that you talked about. Sometimes even just doing activities like when there's depression involved, we kind of can stay stuck and it's hard to get out of bed, and so it's just doing things, getting out of the house, going for a walk, talking to people. Definitely understanding our triggers, that I find help too, like understanding what triggers me, not only pain, but other things that can trigger me to use, and using the skills. So my breathing techniques, they take longer, but in the long term, it's a long-term gain, because short term, it's easier just to go for the drugs. But if I use my breathing, if I challenge my thoughts, if I cope with cravings, then it'll have more long-term effects.
So it's probably good to work with a clinician or a counselor at that point.
I agree, because it's hard to come up with, like I said, replacing things that are healthier. So definitely to understand your triggers, to cope with cravings. There's a lot of techniques that a therapist can help you through with that, because cravings can be very intense.
So we're going to take a break, but I think I'm going to put the teaser out there that I think what I'd like to come back with is, we said earlier in the show that people get addicted to even symptoms and pain and drama. And don't we all know someone who always has a painful, dramatic story? Now, it's somewhat counterintuitive, because why would anyone ever get addicted to drama and pain? But people do. We'll be right back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reish, and we'll find out why.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reish. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com. And change your life forever.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reish, on her famous couple retreats, and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Your life, your health, your network. This is Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
So we're here talking about addiction and, the pervasiveness and the insidious nature of it, because it really, by the way, we're talking lightly about caretaking and this and that, but addiction actually can destroy a whole family, can destroy a childhood, it's quite serious, and it is really something that has to be watched. Alcohol addiction, for example, I've been a therapist and I was a bartender for 22 years. I've been in the therapy field for going on 18 years. It's a lot of years. You can see I'm not a young woman. Anyways, I divert, and I don't think I've ever seen anything destroy families as much as alcohol, to the point that's probably a big part of why, other than the headaches, that I'm not a big drinker. So it's quite serious, and alcohol is one of the most socially acceptable addictions. Now, before we took a break, I also talked about the fact that I'm amazed, that doesn't really make sense, but people do get addicted to drama and pain. But yet, it seems like, why would anyone get addicted to drama or pain if it feels awful? Mm-hmm. Thoughts?
Well, we have to ask ourselves, what are we getting from it? And I think that once we understand what's the payoff, because...
Is there a payoff to being in pain?
Yes.
Oh.
What are your thoughts?
Well, of course, I agree with you, but our clients are going to say there's no payoff to being in pain.
It's hard to see. But again, being honest with ourselves, we're humans. We avoid pleasure, we avoid pain, and we go towards pleasure.
Oh, so that's a good line.
When we do something that... All our behaviors has a purpose, all of them, even the unhealthy ones. So we have to ask ourselves, what could I be getting from this drama or relationships or just the pain? What am I getting from it?
Right. So I was working with somebody who keeps getting in relationships that there's a lot of drama, and the payoff for her is that she's very uncomfortable with closeness. So as long as there's drama, there's no closeness.
It keeps people at a distance?
It certainly does. And payoff for pain, another one that I want to make sure people hear, is that you have a sad story to tell, and that can give you a lot of attention.
A lot of sympathy.
A lot. And attention's a big reinforcer. So that's where, if you're listening, you have to be honest with yourself. Are you milking the pain? Because pain is hard, but you can't stay in pain forever. I mean, you can, but at that point, it's a choice.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
And the same thing is with addiction or in terms of alcohol and drugs, is that, there's advantages to it. And it's hard for us to see it that way because there's a lot of disadvantages, but we have to understand the advantages in order to change them. We can't deny that. We can't ignore the advantages that we get from drugs and alcohol or caretaking or relationships, because it's a very important piece of the puzzle in order to cure it, to solve it.
You're newer in the field than I am. You're younger than I am, but you've also worked in a rehab center, and you've been working for us for a while now. Do you agree that addictions, and alcohol in particular, alcohol and drugs, probably destroys families more than anything else you've seen? Because that's certainly been my experience, and it's generational. It affects everybody.
Yeah, and that's why in my work I do a lot of family therapy, because it's not just the person struggling with addiction, it affects the whole family. And even though the person that is addicted, I often hear them say, well, I'm just hurting myself. I'm just drinking. I'm not hurting anybody.
I do it after the kids are asleep.
After the kids are asleep. Like no one's watching me, and it's my life, and I'm not hurting anyone. But the thing is that it does hurt relationships. It hurts children, it hurts relationships, and we have to acknowledge that and also see how it hurts them, so that as a family we can try to create differences and a better relationship with everybody.
To keep this nice and meaty, Melissa, as a matter of fact, we talk about caretaking. I talk about caretaking an awful lot. Caretakers are often born in families of addiction because the adults aren't behaving like adults. So the child learns to read cues very quickly in the family. As a matter of fact, many people who grow up in dysfunctional families become very good at reading cues. And by the way, they become therapists because they turn their lemons into lemonade. Is they have a skill that's unusual to read things. Because caretaking, again, often comes out of slippery boundaries in a family, and slippery boundaries often show up with addiction. Because addiction itself is a major boundary violation. Okay, so for people listening where this affects their family, not necessarily themselves or friends, I'm curious also, what should people do? Because before we get into this, I do want to say that although we're very compassionate people, I think that you do this in your sessions too, and I do, is that it is a concept of tough love that needs to be used in addiction, meaning that if your partner's addicted to video games or alcohol, it's not like, oh, honey, it's quite serious. And people call me all the time and say, well, my kid, but what do you want me to do? Kick my kid out of the house if they don't stop? And I say, you might have to. And they say, would you do it with your kid? I say, I wouldn't be happy, but it's only tough love that works, correct?
Yeah. The thing is that I love how you said this, because we often see that a lot of family members try to protect the addict.
So much.
Try to protect them. And maybe in a way they're
keeps the addiction alive.
It does. It enables it. And maybe they're trying to protect themselves too as well. But, lying for them, or a lot of times addiction, they'll miss important obligations. And so, trying to cover up for them and lie for them and say that they're sick or they're not feeling well. And we try to create a cocoon because there's such a stigma around it. We try to hide it. But this feeds the addiction. So in terms of the tough love is that we can't protect them anymore. It's not helping them to protect them. It's just feeding the addiction. So,
but Melissa, I know the answer to this, but I want to pick your brain. Is that your child? It's your child. Your child's in pain.
I know.
The reason they're smoking weed or drinking is because they're already in pain. Your child's unhappy, and I'm going to play the role of a client, because this is what a client would typically say: is now you want me to be tough on that child? What do you want me to do? Okay, so you want me to say that the child has to get a job, the teenager has to get a job, let's say. Okay, but the teenager's depressed. So as a parent, I'm going to say to you, like, how could I do that to my teenager? They're depressed, they're drinking too much, and now you want me to say get a job or get out of the house? Like,
yeah. And I see the conflict, because it's really hard, but you've tried the gentle, you've tried to,
and gentle doesn't work.
Gentle doesn't work, and that's the thing. So I often tell, it's really hard to put those boundaries, but at the same time, it's important to have a balance. You want to be supportive, and you don't want to be...
So it's I love you.
I love you, and making sure that they understand that, and that you're doing this from a place of love. But these are the consequences of your behavior. It's just, I love when I use this all the time, I'm stealing it. But it's
She's
like...
stealing it from me, by the way. It's a Sandra.
It is a Sandra.
I don't want anyone else to get credit, that's all.
But, when we're driving and we run a stop sign, we get a ticket. We don't like it.
But that's how we learn.
I cry. I get upset when I get a ticket, but... it prevents me from, it doesn't guarantee it, but it prevents me from doing it again. So you need to give the ticket, and whatever that ticket is, you'll have to decide that. And I think with the therapist or counselor can help you decide what appropriate boundaries are. But at the same time, you're helping them by letting go and by being putting really strict boundaries with them.
Okay, so I think this is so valuable, Melissa, because I can think of a lot of people who are married or dating somebody who's alcoholic, for example. And so what I'm going to piggyback on what you said is that you have to mean business with that boundary. So because the problem is, we talked about the brain and the reward center. So since the reward center is so powerful, if you don't say to your partner and mean business, like, unless this stops by this date, or we go, you go to rehab, or we go to counseling, or whatever it may be, okay, that I can't continue a relationship with you. And I think it sounds a little bit like this: I love you, but I love me more, which you're supposed to, okay? Because otherwise, if you keep saying, I'm sick of your drinking, I'm sick of it, but you don't put a clear consequence, the person will not stop drinking. They may stop for a week or two.
Why would they? There's no.
Well,
there's no
they know
consequences.
it's bad.
They know it's
you
bad,
know you
but-
should do that stop sign.
But I'm still. There's no one's gonna catch me, and no one's
Right.
gonna put any.
Well, why are we
enforcement.
like that as humans? What's wrong with us? But we are like that.
We are.
Yeah. So, for people listening where they're in a relationship with someone who has a substance abuse problem, unfortunately, you have to really mean business.
And stick to them.
Oh, you have to stick to it. Why did you jump in and say that? The stick to it.
Well,
Talk
because
to
I
me.
often hear people threaten to leave
Yeah.
or say that they're gonna.
Don't ever say it if you don't mean it.
Yeah, don't say it if you don't mean it. But stay at the. It's easier to stay. It's easier to stay in the
Yeah.
relationship. It's easier not to put boundaries. But at the same time, if you're gonna stay somewhere else, or that person stays somewhere else, or you give an ultimatum, you have to stick by it, because then you're teaching them that your word doesn't mean anything. if
Okay,
you don't.
two very important questions that people are.
Yeah.
I know they're asking out there.
Yeah.
Okay. One is, what if the person who's an addict is in every other way fabulous? Great husband,
Yeah.
great father, great guy, or great wife, great mother. Should you be turning a blind eye? I mean, overall, the bank account's pretty good. Should you be turning a blind eye? We all have our stuff. It's okay.
Well,
in your view.
You have to ask yourself, are you happy? Is this creating a problem in your relationship?
Well, you're not happy, but nothing's perfect. You might say to yourself.
Yeah, but can you accept this? I don't know.
Should you accept it, though?
Should you, and can you? And is that
impacting your kids?
That's the thing. Is that the
And
role
it is.
model?
And we're saying as therapists, it is. 100%.
Even if they're young, a lot of my clients too say they're really young, they don't notice. Even babies can pick up on a lot of things.
And my second question is, you go to your partner and you say, listen, I think you're addicted to weed, to alcohol, or whatever, and I love you, but I love me more, or whatever way you want to say it, I love you, but for me, this has to stop for us to continue. And the partner explodes and says, what's wrong with you? Lots of people smoke weed, lots of people drink. What get off my back. What do you do?
Yeah. I love that you said that, because that's typically the response.
Yes.
Because you're calling them out. Now you're threatening the one thing that's taking away their pain. It's their best friend. Why? It's a threat. So, of course they're going to get angry. Of course they're going to lash out and try to twist it maybe onto you, because they're just, again, trying to protect. But that's where the communication skills come in, and we have to keep, I call it the broken record. I understand.
It's actually called that.
Yeah.
Broken record
It actually
technique.
is. I understand. But this is what needs to happen. You need to go to rehab, or else I'm leaving.
Yeah. Now, the thing about all of this is that the person gets very, very angry because the person would like to keep status quo. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
What would you do?
Well, I believe in the broken record technique very much, and I think that you have to mean business. And I think that it's it's very multi-layered, because actually tolerating that, you slowly but surely lose yourself. Now, in therapy school, they call addiction the other woman. Because you called the alcohol or the crack cocaine, you said it was like a best friend. And when you said that, it reminded me of learning that in school. It's such a great line teacher taught me and I don't know if you know this, but in couple therapy, you're not legally allowed to see a couple if there's an addiction, because there's a third party in the relationship. I don't know if you know that. Okay. You're not supposed to, because as long as there's an addiction, you can't treat the couple. There's a third party. So the person's choosing the bottle over you. Okay, you can't compete with drugs or alcohol. You cannot compete. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to compete in my relationship. So that it would kill me to have to go, but I'd go. And you hope that the person will decide that losing you is more important to them than giving, than keeping the alcohol, and that it's worth it to them, because if not, what they are saying basically is that the addiction, they love the addiction, sadly, more than you, and you're doomed anyways at that point, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to have to take a short break, but I do think this is an important point. We'll be right back with Straight Talk with Sandra Reish.
Your life, your health, your network. You're listening to Voice America Health and Wellness.
Spa Munari is a full-service wellness day spa located at the heart of West Island, Quebec. Submerge yourself in beauty with one of our many treatments, specially catered to your needs. We offer facials, manicures, pedicures, hair removal, massages, body treatments, and so much more. Enjoy our ultimate relaxation experience with our spa packages. We offer a men's menu as well. Call us today to book your next appointment at 514-695-5040 or visit us on the web at spamunari.com. That's 514-695-5040 or spamunari.com.
Join the therapist who is affectionately known as the Couple Whisperer, Sandra Reish, on her famous couple retreats and change your life forever. Sandra offers couple retreats in beautiful locations several times a year that can radically change your love life. Couples describe her retreats as life-changing. Regain that loving feeling, bring your intimacy to a new level, and rediscover excitement and joy. Find out more at helpforanxietydepression.com or call 514-796-4357. We all want love and safety. Now you can have it. Call 514-796-4357 or helpforanxietydepression.com.
Change your life forever with the latest cutting-edge products for home study treatment for anxiety, featuring the clinical director of the Montreal Center for Anxiety and Depression and host of Straight Talk, Sandra Reish. Sandra is joined by top therapist Georgia Dow in this revolutionary anxiety videos therapy series. Thousands of people have benefited from this scientifically proven treatment approach. Isn't it time you chose yourself? Visit anxiety-videos.com right now. That's anxiety-videos.com and change your life forever.
A fresh look at today's health. Voice America Health and Wellness.
You are listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Reish. To connect with the program today, please call 1-866-472-5792. Again, that's 1-866-472-5792. You may also send an email to info@helpforanxietydepression.com. Now, back to Straight Talk. Here's Sandra Reish.
Wow, the time goes fast on meaty topics. Addiction. Just talking about how we often in therapy call addiction in a couple the other woman or the other man. And I was just talking on the break with Melissa and how serious that is, because it's actually worse than another woman or another man because it's always there. So you have a fight, the person goes to take a drink, and you don't really have the person then. You have the person with alcohol. Yeah. So I think when you said you have to decide if you could accept it, I think I would say, how could someone consider accepting a third party in the relationship? But it's trouble.
It is. But the thing is that people do, because people like to stay in their comfort zone. And like I said, it's hard to change. But the question is, again, we have to be honest with ourselves, is this the life that I want? Is this self-love, staying with this person?
It can be, we do agree it's not self-love.
It's not self-love.
And I have kids, I need to model self-love.
Yes.
Because they're watching how I'm looking the other way.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So addicts, by the way, they do types of denial. And I know you came prepared to talk about the denials. And I'm curious what denials people do. I mean, obviously, it's saying I'm not addicted. I drink 3 times a week only. And that's one of the problems, because there are functional alcoholics and functional drug addicts. So it's not always the guy on the street. So what are these denials?
I hate that term. A lot of people use it, the functioning alcoholics, but it's true.
Why do you hate it?
Because it's still just as bad.
Oh, it is.
But the thing is, but the reason why I'm so passionate about it is because a lot of people use that to justify that it's okay, because they're still meeting responsibilities and they're still going to work or doing their functions, but it's still destroying the family unit, but also themselves. So a lot of people use that, and that's part of the rationalization, the denial. When we rationalize it, when we say, you know what, again, I'm not hurting anyone, I'm still maintaining my responsibility, the bills are paid, I'm still going to work. So that's one way. Another would be minimizing, I only have one, or I only use it on the weekends. So when we minimize how much we use this. And then there's simple denial, which is your denial of denial.
What does that mean?
You're like, what addiction? What?
Okay.
you're like denial that you're in denial.
Right.
I'm not in denial. I just don't have an issue.
Okay.
Right?
Gotcha. So you're like 16 hours a day watching TV and you're like, yeah, what's your problem?
Yeah. Like basically what's wrong with that?
Gotcha. Good.
And then we have the avoidance.
Oh, okay.
Right?
That's a big one.
Yeah.
What is that?
Basically we're not even wanting to look at it, and that's where you brought up that the person can get really angry because the more you bring it up, the more they have to look at it, and if they're in denial, they don't like that feeling, and so they push it away, and so we might get angry or lash out
Defensive
to push you away.
Oh, here comes my favorite.
Yes, why don't you talk about this? The
victimization. Well, it's a really good strategy is to say, like, who are you to tell me I drink too much? With the life I've lived, you don't know my pain. And, this happened to me, that happened to me, and it's been hell, and I need my drink at the end of the day. So what do you say to someone like that, Melissa?
Yeah, and it's just, is that helping you? Is that solving your pain?
No, but I have so much pain, Melissa. Can I get a break in life?
And that's where I would use more questions about what are the consequences or what's going on, because and do you want to get out of this victimization? Like, do you want to have a better life? Do you want to go through sometimes we have to go through hell, but we'll get out of it. But it's a question of and that's the hard to get out of victimization, because we often say, well, I deserve this, or I have so much pain, so much stuff has happened to me. How would you encourage them to get out of victimization?
It's getting a little dull almost, but the first step is to tell yourself the truth.
Yeah.
It comes, almost every show comes back to that, is that, we're all victims at some point in our life, and you have to decide what's the story you want to tell yourself. So if you've been victimized, that's bad enough. But I thought you said it very, very well, what's the life story you want? Do you want to stay a victim, or do you want to pull out of it? And, there are many clients who stay stuck, and there are many clients you've seen and I've seen who pull themselves out of horrible victimizations. Yeah. And, it's an honor to work with them. I can tell you, I work with people where I come home at night, I'm sure you feel the same way, where I am so touched by their courage from terrible situations. So yes, people can get out of victimization, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we're just about out of time. So I know that somebody wants to know, if they're addicted, do they have to stop using forever the substance? Very briefly, because I want to make sure there's a minute for people to find out how to reach you.
Well, every situation is sometimes a little different, but research supports that, yes. Again, you talked about how the brain has a memory of this addiction. So as soon as we even tease it and re-enter whatever it is, the substance, or back into our brain, it's like muscle memory. It's going to go back into it what it used to be. So we have to learn other healthier coping ways, strategies. And so I encourage anyone that's going through this to reach out. There's also AA meetings, which is Alcoholics Anonymous. If people don't like the 12-step model, there's also smart recovery meetings that they have online. So I encourage you. I know it's hard to come out and admit this addiction, but use your support system. And actually, I found that people are actually more encouraging than you think.
And people get through it, and one of the best things in life is whatever problem you have, someone else has had it.
Yes.
And coping and support is key. Melissa, you are absolutely fabulous at this stuff. If somebody wants to work with you on how to overcome their addiction and tell themselves the truth, how would they reach you, and how would they book an appointment?
So you can call me at 514-777-4530, and definitely we can work on some strategies to help with the addiction, learning triggers, coping with cravings, and understanding what's at the root of the problem.
Can they call you if there's a relationship, if they need help with their relationship because someone a friend is in trouble for tough love? Can you do tough love?
Yes, I also help family members and also people in relationships. I have a couple of clients that are in that situation now, and to help them get through putting boundaries and giving tough love, and with positive results. So.
Well, that's all the time we have today. So before we sign off, I'd really like to thank you, Melissa. You were just amazing. And we're going to have you back real soon, because you're always a wealth of knowledge. So thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Always a pleasure. I'd also like to thank again Spa Maneri for helping to make this show possible. Check them out, spamaneri.com. Go get a nice massage, mention Straight Talk, and you can get 15% off. And I'd especially like to thank all of you for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Riche and making this show successful around the world. I really appreciate it. I'd like to invite all of you to come back next week. If you're interested in our retreats, therapy, reaching Melissa, or any media that was mentioned on this show or previous shows, please check out helpforanxietydepression.com. And also, if you go on straighttalksandrariche.com and add a / and write radio gifts, you can get all sorts of amazing free gifts from many of our guests. Check out also our Facebook page, Straight Talk with Sandra Riche too. And feel free to leave a question for me or for Melissa or any of our guests. And don't forget to like our page while you're there. You can hear this show and any prior show as a podcast on my website, straighttalksandrariche.com. Also on the podcast app of your iPhone and on iTunes under Straight Talk with Sandra Riche. And please do stay in touch at info@helpforanxietydepression.com. If you're a professional and you're looking for keynote speakers or training on this topic, anxiety, depression, emotional regulation, or living a purposeful life, remember I'm your source for evidence-based practice and education. My name is Sandra Riche, and I promise I'll help you learn to live your best life again next Thursday, same time, same channel. In the meanwhile, this is Straight Talk with Sandra Riche. Keep your eyes on the stars.
Thank you for listening to Straight Talk with Sandra Riche. We hope you've enjoyed today's show, and we'll tune in again next Thursday at 3 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Health and Wellness Channel. Now, go live your best life.